This is my 2011 Odyssey, and recently it started developing like a clunk in the front end. I read a few things where you can grease the strut shaft or just check the torque on the top hat to the strut. These are like quick struts that I put in probably about 2 years ago. So I'm going to pop off the cowl today and just torque the top hats and see if that does the trick to get this noise to go away. Once the cowl is removed, it gives me access to the top of the strut hats. So these outer three that actually bolt the strut hat to the chassis get torqued to 44 foot-pounds, and then this center nut gets torqued to 42 foot-pounds. So I'm going to retorque all three of these on both sides and then the center as well, and hopefully that's my issue. I'll button everything back up, throw the cowl on, the wipers on, and take it for a test drive. So to tighten the actual top hat to the strut, I'm using an 18mm wrench on the nut and then a 7mm on the shaft to torque it. So I'm holding the wrench on the nut to keep it in place and then tightening the shaft. And that sheared off the little nub that was on the top for you to grab onto with a socket. So that sucks. These are aftermarket struts. I forget, they were like quick struts when I bought them. But that pretty much limits you to being able to torque it. You could also hold a set of vice grips on the shaft of the strut, but then you risk, scoring that, and that sucks. So it was definitely loose. I'll try the other side. Gotta knock the little piece out of this socket now, but we'll see how the other side goes. Hopefully this side it doesn't snap before I reach the torque value. It snapped. I think I'm gonna have to go with the vice grip approach and see if that does the trick. I was actually able to just use my torque wrench, go on top, and torque just the nut. The shaft moves a little bit, but not enough that didn't let me torque it. So I have them both torqued to spec now. I'm going to button this all back up, go for a drive, and see if that did the trick. I'm going to quick drive now just to hit a couple bumps that I know the noise was prominent at before, and see if the clunk has gone away. Noticed it at like slower speeds over like manhole covers and stuff, potholes, so we'll see if it's gone after a quick test drive. Well, the noise is still there. I think it's definitely in the front end. Could be something in the steering, so I'm gonna drive back home, jack it up. I had it up in the air yesterday but couldn't find anything, so get it in the air again and see if I can find anything. Well, after getting back from my test drive, I put this thing up on ramps so that I could see everything while the suspension was loaded, and fortunately I found something. So I was kind of shaking down all the suspension, looking at the control arms, the ball joints and everything, and I grabbed the sway bar, and it might be hard to see or even hear on camera, but if I move the sway bar up and down, I can hear play in the bottom side of the link. Now, yesterday I had this thing jacked up in the air, side by side. I didn't find anything or hear anything, but because then that would have had tension on it from the wheel, not being on the ground. So suspension's all loaded now, and like I said, there's play in that bottom end link. What I'm going to do is unbolt it from the bottom, take it for a drive again with it disconnected, see if the noise is gone, and if it is, my local AutoZone has one in stock. I'm going to go and grab. Test drive number 2. I think that did the trick. I don't hear the noise anymore. Just hit this one last bump in the parking lot. Appears to be gone. So we're gonna head to AutoZone and pick up a new sway bar and link. I am back from AutoZone. They had the sway bar end link I needed. It was like 38 bucks, but at least they have one in stock. So I'm gonna throw that on. And with it disconnected, like I said on that test drive, the noise was gone. So confident once this is back on, it'll be completely gone. But I'm gonna button this back up, and that did the trick on this. Here is the old sway bar end link versus the new one. They're a little bit different. As you can see, the old one doesn't have any Zerk fitting for grease. And the new one does. It came with 2 fittings. I had to install them, but it has those. This is a little kind of rudimentary of a part compared to the original one, or this might have been replaced at some point too, but I've never replaced it during my ownership. But this one being bad, this was the top where it bolts to the strut, and the boot is torn. There isn't a ton of play there, but the boot is torn. And then this is where my noise was coming from. I can feel the play in it, and it's super loose, as you can see, compared to the new one. I mean, these don't even move. Obviously, they're not greased yet, but we get this thrown on, grease it, and like I said, this buttons up this job. So, you know, a noise that you're hearing, in this instance, was fixed for about 40 bucks, and I don't know, 2-3 hours of my time.